This is SAGAS.
What's going on, everybody? This is Corbin, the Surfing Tongue Skippers, and I'm here with a very special guest. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Zach Diebels. I play guitar in a band called Simon Says from Sacramento, California in the United States.
Fuck yeah, badass. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to be on this podcast.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, Corbin.
Now, okay, so the reason why I have you on here, and I hope this isn't a surprise to know this, but we're going to be talking about the album Shut Your Breath.
Yeah, that's totally cool.
Cool. All right. So I've been studying this album a lot over the past 48 hours. Yeah. So, all right. So before we actually get into the album, I'd like to hear from you. So what was the plan going into this album back in the day, and like as a band, what did you guys hope to achieve with this record?
Yeah. So okay, I'll give you kind of a brief history and then kind of what about this record. So. Okay, I know where to start. Okay, so reverse time a little bit and put yourself, if you can, or if you're young, that's cool too. But imagine that it's 2001. Okay, and this is the same year, but before 9/11. Okay, so imagine that. Okay, so at that time, at where Simon Says is we were a band from Sacramento, and we came from the likes of like it's the same city as like Tesla, Deftones, right? Will Haven, Far, there's great bands that came out of Sacramento, and Papa Roach, us. I would say we had a great scene, right? So we came from that. We had an indie deal, we got a major label deal, put out a record. It did kind of right, and so we went back in the studio, and this record. So what you're talking about, Shut Your Breath, would have been our second major label record, and we were kind of like I said, we were kind of like our first major label record before that, about a year and a half, maybe 2 years before that, did okay, but it didn't like say sell 1 million records, right? So anyway, so that's where we're at. We're at 2001. So we had been working on this album for a long time after we got off the road for our last record, and we had never been before on such large tours, world tours, that kind of shit. Oh, excuse me. So anyway, at that point, we were kind of road dogs, and kind of like we were, not happy with the way the first record had done. We were kind of bummed that it didn't get we felt like the love that it should have. That's every record, if it doesn't do well, that's how the band feels. But and so we went back in the studio on Shut Your Breath with a clear focus and a vision of what we did not want to do. And I think that was because, okay, at this point we made a couple records on our own. We've done the big studio, big budget thing. I get where that happened. I see where that's good. I see where that's bad. Okay, so we learned a lot and took those things and kind of threw them into the album. And so the album ended up being kind of really heavy, and we let a lot of feelings out, which is typical of a metal band. You kind of take your feelings out on the songs and from the road and all those things, like everything that you typically hear, even Bob Seger songs about, like we all write about too, is just maybe heavier or something, right? So that kind of stuff. And at that time we were all about 24, so kind of young, right? But and so it and then we toured for a long time with Typo Negative, which is really cool. This is before obviously Pete died, and that was really fun. And then that was a build up to where the album was going to come out. The album came out, and the label shelved it like 3 weeks later, and it was doing really well. Actually, it was doing pretty good. And then about 6 weeks to the day after they shelved it, 9/11 happened, and the whole world changed. And so that was kind of there's the history and the nutshell of kind of where that went and what happened. I can give you more details about the making of the record, but that's kind of, if you understand what happened. So yeah.
Wow.
A lot to fit in a few minutes, but that's the best I can tell you.
Well, around this time period, I was 7.
Okay, well, see, that's okay. That's all good, but because it's a classic story. Honestly, this happens, um, when the band was getting signed to a major label, you know, it's a really weird experience. And because it's different now because the deals are different. But then uh labels had a lot more money, and so they could just throw around these ridiculous budgets, and like just you're like, really? And but what we learned was that you know, that's all good and everything, but you're really at the end of the day, it's going to come down to your songs, and your songs are what matter. And so that's what we put our energy into. We tried to make the best record we could. And so anyway, here we are now, having, like I said, we got to that point where it was released. We were about to start a tour like a month later, and then that was it. So then, anyway, we got off the label shortly afterward. Our relationship was not good at that point. So, but anyway, so now here we are, and we've rebanded and everything's going cool. And so now it's like we have to kind of reintroduce and I don't know, remind everybody of, like, if you didn't know, well, now you know. And if you didn't know, welcome to the family, and hopefully you'll enjoy our old record, and we have a new record coming out. You know what I mean? Like, you know how it goes, but it's weird because we never got to, we were talking about this tonight. We had rehearsal. We played that record with, like I said, Typo Negative. Well, like, Jesus, for like 8 weeks we were on the road with them before the record came out, big build up. And then it just shelved. And I was like, we never got to play these songs to people that got to get it.
Yeah. Wow.
So like we never got to like play the songs to have people, sing it back to you and stuff. And I was like, that sucks. So, like, here we are. So anyway, there it is. There it is. My long-winded answer.
Well, I think something that's really cool, because I was doing research for this album and just going online, searching stuff. And you'll find a lot of online polls, a lot of Reddit discussions calling this one of the underrated gems of new metal. Questions like, where did Simon Says go? Oh, what about this album? Does anyone remember this album? And,
right.
Making it very high. So it's actually...
Well, I appreciate that.
Thing.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. Because, I mean, it was too bad. Yeah, it was such a shame, that things went down the way they did. It again, it's kind of major label, like, cliche. I mean, there's a lot of bands that have this story where, like, man, that band was great. What happened? You know what I mean? And but it's nothing. The stories are never the same, but the circumstances tend to be similar. And yeah, we're excited, man. I'm excited to play these songs live. I miss it. I think we're all obviously a lot older now and everything, but like, it's really strange, man. I mean, like, you remember, you're a young guy. You remember when it was like when you were 15 years old. Like, anytime I believe this with music. You tell me what you think, Corbin. Like, when you're 15, maybe 14, but 15 to say 17, like, what do they call that in Australia? Is it high school or primary school? I don't know.
High school.
Okay, so yeah, okay, high school. So high school, like, those 3 years right there, I feel like whatever you're into, no matter what, you'll always kind of, we hear that song, or you hear like that stuff, you know what I'm saying, right? Okay. So like, it doesn't matter. It could be, old stuff, whatever it was that you were into, that was it. And so like with us at rehearsal, and I was just like, it's so strange. This band started when I was like 16 years old. And like, and so like, we kind of grew up like in our formative years together. So like, it's weird how you get in the room with guys like that. And the only way I can describe it is some of my fraternity brothers from college, later on, they had gone to like Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff. And anyway, and they were telling me, at these reunions, they were just like, it's kind of like that, dude. It's like the guys that I was there with, I can't describe it. We can pick up right where we left off. Like, it's nothing. Like, we're right back at that point in time again. Like, and I'm like, that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like, this is weird. I feel like we never left. It's weird, So yeah, so it's cool. How old are you now?
I'm 30.
You're 30. Okay, so 15 for you. You're talking like what, 2009, 10?
Yeah.
That was a good
2011.
That was
around
like,
that, yeah.
oh man, that was like Diamond Eyes, right? Came out around then.
Yeah, those years you just described were ironically new metal, Marilyn Manson,
Yeah.
and Cradle.
Who?
Cradle of Filth.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you like some of the like more progressive stuff, like the heavy. Yeah, okay, that's cool, man. I respect the hell out of that stuff. I listen to a lot of that stuff too. It's weird. Like
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a good melody. I can't deny. Like I like hooky stuff, but at the same time,
Mm.
man, I respect the hell out of that stuff. It's so good. There's so many good players now in bands.
Mm.
That's the other thing I notice is like, you know, you before you had to have a lot of money to get a lot of gear,
Yeah.
and like or good gear, for instance, and like, now you can get so many different options and so many different things, and there's so many like accessible things. It's kind of cool. It's pushed especially for me as a guitar player, it's pushed guitar players like I mean, it's almost weird how like I don't even want to call it shredding, but more the like progressive, syncopated, kind of rhythmic, like like Meshuggah, that kind of stuff. Like it's really, really, and it's technical. It's not, we're not talking Skid Row. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
technical. I respect the hell out of that stuff because I think that's like, I mean, that's obviously the new wave. You know what I mean? Like it's just, but it's
Mm.
cool because it's not like I mean, a lot of what I write is really simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not really technical. And so I always really respect the guys that can do that stuff. It's like, wow, like Periphery and those kinds of bands. It's like, oh, forget
Mm.
about it. It's like Lamb of God. Like, I mean, that stuff's just like crap. I saw Lamb of God open for Korn on my
Yeah.
honeymoon. Shit was awesome, dude. That was just like, wow. It was Lamb of God, Five Finger Death Punch, and Korn. And I was like,
Yeah.
and my wife's cool. She was down. I was like, let's go. And like, and we went, and it was like, oh my God. It made Korn sound poppy.
Yeah. Well,
And for real.
in some respects, I guess.
You know what I mean? Like they get out there and play Got the Life, and it's like after Lamb of God and Five Finger Death Punch. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me, right? I mean, like you guys sound like Green Day. I mean, damn, No, I'm just kidding. Anyway.
Well, yeah, compared to those bands, I mean that makes
You know
sense.
what I mean, though? Yeah, you feel me, dude? I was like, oh my God, dude! Like that, they just brought the heavy. What are you gonna do? Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but Are You Ready is not. It's not as heavy. It's not as heavy.
Well,
It's all good.
Korn brings the devilish. What is it? The devil. The devilish random singing.
I like, the thing I like about Korn. This is what I do say about Korn is like those guys like talk about. They know what they do and they do it really well, and they're not afraid of like just this is it, and they're committed to it instead of like
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of bands have to try to like I don't know adapt, but almost they like chameleon themselves a little bit, right? And I know what that's like, you know what I mean? Because you're like you get pressure from what's hot and like what you think is going to be hot and that kind of thing. And it's like you got to just be you. And I mean, if you listen, even if their newer records, like they sound obviously better because everything sounds better now, but like they're still the same band. It's still them, It's like Deftones. I mean, they're
Yeah.
still them. You know what I mean? Like no matter what, they can't not write their own stuff. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
When those dudes are in the same room together, it's really cool. It's a really special thing. It's like you too. I mean, or any great band. Those guys get in the room and there's something that happens. You change the chemistry, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, that's a perfect segue because the one thing I want to ask you about this album is, was Deftones an inspiration for you guys?
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. I mean, being from Sacramento,
Mm.
I think, yeah, that'd be foolish to say they weren't. Absolutely, they were. Yeah, I mean, Stefan and Chino and all those guys, we're friends. We're all older now. We don't like hang out like we used to, but especially Stefan and I, we text back and forth a lot, and you know, they were a big influence. Far was another big influence. Um, uh, for me personally, as a like guitar wise and stuff, absolutely. Like Stefan, Sean from Far, um, uh, Page Hamilton from Helmet. I thought he was that he's the one that I wanted to play ESP because he did.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't really know anything about ESP. I was just like, well, Page Hamilton plays it, and this thing sounds awesome. You know what I mean? I was like, I think it was Meantime. I was listening to Meantime or something. I'm going, I want to sound like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, Filter, Richie Patrick. I mean, that kind of stuff. Like just simple, riff rock kind of. That like almost the exit of grunge
Yeah.
into whatever morphed into in, between Sacramento and LA and Korn and Deftones and all the bands that came with it, it's like, it was like that post grunge rhythm rock kind of stuff, and like, I thought that was cool. And it had a little bit of, hip hop influence, which I love. And it was cool. And Sacramento had that thing, I guess, that, we used to joke about, Stefan and Sean and I used to joke that Sacramento's like a bunch of right hand rockers. It's just the rhythm hand. That's what it is. So it's hella funny. Yeah. No, but yes, the answer would be yes.
Yeah, because the more I listen to this album, the more I think like, what a bold sonic impact you guys made with this record. Because it's very, it's not as dare I say upbeat. It's very emotional, very methodical in its production, in its presentation. That like, I think it's a very like on the edge album compared to a lot of stuff that came out in the same subgenre all for that year as well.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I felt like I think if you listen to the previous record, Jumpstart was what it was called, and like and now I can say you can, because you can stream it now. It's awesome. It's so great. Like, that was the other thing. A quick footnote was that until now, actually, I take that back. Until last last May. Yeah, last May, June. Yeah, maybe something like that. Our albums were also not even available online, like not even for streaming. Like, and it was weird. We couldn't figure out why. And since none of us were really in contact for how many years, no one cared. And so and then I finally got fed up and was like, man, I want to be able to go like, yo, this is my band or something, And so so I went, I looked into it and got it figured out, but it's just so funny. So now it's kind of nice to be able to go, oh yeah, and you can go listen to it. Anyway, okay, so back to the album. So Jumpstart was the album before that. And if you listen to that album, it's way more, I would say, positive sounding. It's a lot more upbeat, a lot more poppier. You could say that. I don't care. Whereas, Shut Your Breath, the album that came after that, is much heavier, much darker. And I think it reflects, we were at that age, we were between the time we got signed to the time we left the label I was 19, and I think I was like almost 25 when we left. So that's like, 5 years. Like, it's like we went from being the whole world is ours, and then going, man, we really kind of were bummed at ourselves. We thought we could do better, commercially. And well, I like that album, but we got to take it back and learn. And So then we did, and we came back fierce and like determined. And I think that anger is the frustration of all of us, like, together, and that's what kind of came out dark. So I like that record a lot, and it was real simple too. Like, if you listen to it, there's not, we didn't do the crazy layering that we did on the first record. That, which can be cool sometimes, but we kept it really simple. We learned a lot from, like, I think, doing that other album. We learned like, oh, okay, like how come we can I want to sound like this? And so you just kind of keep learning and try to apply it, and write the best songs you can. There's some things that, commercial success is a lot of luck and timing, and it is what it is. I'm just glad to be doing this now. It's fun. So.
Yeah. And, there's so many things that I noticed while listening to this album, like a lot of things that I appreciated, a lot of things that intrigued me. Like, for example, the one thing that intrigued me is how it seems to me that the one song on this album that's different stylistically than the rest, the song Trainwreck, it sounds like kind of like, like fucking, what's the band? Like, Motorhead. It kind of has a vibe to it.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's cool.
Like, it's not like what the fuck, but it's more like, oh shit, where did this come from? Because it is so like, Deftones is by very slow, very methodical, and then that little 1 minute part of the song, of the short 2 minute 36-second song, is like very Ace of Spades. Like, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, like, I think that like we kind of liked those things. I think it was like because we before we had gotten signed or whatnot, that was, the bands were dependent on their live show, and like and back then, at that time, because there were so many bands, like I had mentioned before, like coming out of this area, the there was just, it was a very, very hot scene. And so there would be a lot of people at shows, and they'd only kind of respond to like, things like kids do. Like, they want to have fun and just, go nuts and blah, blah, blah. And so we kind of like figured out that like, man, like sometimes it's just cool to like bang, just almost punk rock it, you know what I mean? And I think we got the influence from like the old school hardcore stuff, like that, like Madball era, like on Roadrunner and stuff, like those kind of bands. And I think that we were like, man, they can pull that off. Like, Fugazi pulled that off, and like Strife pulled that off. We can do it, and just do it, and like Snapcase and like those bands, And so like we thought like this would be kind of a way to do it, and it kind of worked, because like we knew that like that song, especially like in Europe and stuff, like, okay, if they don't like us, just play that song quicker. Just play that song like up and set. You know what I mean? And then like it would just be like, okay, they're moshing, that's good. That's good. Now they're cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, it was fun to play. I was just like straight up just go nuts. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like a train wreck, so perfect title.
Yeah, man, exactly. Yeah, it's all good.
Why not?
I like it. It reminds me, like, it's weird. That song reminds me of that band Turnstile now. Like, just like, you know what I mean? But like just that kind of, yeah, like punk rock element with like really heavy guitars and stuff, and like almost like Pennywise had like in the late 90s, like Fletcher had that like Ibanez like super heavy guitar with like this pop punk band like Huntington Beach kind of thing. I was just like, I just love that. I think it's cool. I love that band Turnstile. They're cool.
Yeah, great band nonetheless.
Shout out to Turnstile, dude. They're badass. I love that band. Yeah.
Let me double that shout out. So I'm curious, did you guys, I mean, like, I know this was a long time ago, obviously, to remember, but for you guys, did you guys find it a bit, were you guys thinking at all that it might be a bit daring to have such a long track as the outro? Ellis?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, we kind of like thought that, we had, I think at that point, we kind of were, I mean, it's a really self-indulgent song, obviously, and it's like total, yeah, it's the band favorite to play because it's just a wall of sound and blah, 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 and like, I think at the time it was about, Matt's wife at the time, and, but it's like, we used to like records like, okay, this is going to date me, but sorry. So like, I used to love, Queensryche a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, old metal band, right? And it was my first concert, and they had a record. You'll understand in a second. They had a record called Operation Mindcrime, and it was kind of this concept record where all the lyrics fed this whole story, right? And it was kind of cool, like kind of smart how to do that. That's really, that every song is another part of this story about this thing, and it was really cool. And like at the time, I was that age. I was like 15, going, like you can do that. And then we heard like, and then when I got a little older and I was in Simon Says, I heard Failure. And I thought that band like had the similar, I was like, man, it would be cool to have like these epic big wall of sound, like sonic things. That's what I thought Failure did so well, and or do well. And like, but with like this long story. And that's kind of what the song is. It's like this big, long, drony story, if you can get through it. And like, but at the same time, it has these huge dynamic peaks and valleys to kind of like give it, like I said, that almost, I don't know, just that sludgy, like I said, wall of sound thing that, I think bands love, so, nice song, cool. If you got that far, then hey, that's good. It's all good.
Well, honestly, because I'm a lot obviously younger, when I listened to that outro, it reminded me of the outro to the Tool album Animal.
Oh, that's cool. That's a big compliment. Thank you very much. I'll take that. If it reminds you of that, cool.
It does.
Cool.
That
band is crazy, dude. Those guys are crazy. Man, I've seen that band live a couple times, and whoa. I mean, just whoa. It's a. You've seen them? You see them, right?
I've never, not live, but
Not live. Oh wow, it's an experience. It's like their music. It's just like this, the visual and the whole thing. It's just such a impressive production. I'll put it that way. And they sound amazing. You're like, wow, Adam Jones is badass.
It's definitely on my bucket list for sure one day.
Oh yeah, man, you gotta check them out if you can.
Yeah, the problem is I'm always so it's so inconvenient to pay for live stuff and get a day off work to actually attend it. It's just
yeah. Where? So hey, real quick, whereabouts are you? Tell me where you're
in
at.
Australia.
Oh, Melbourne. Okay, you're in Melbourne. Okay. I wasn't sure exactly where. So it's a big place. That's cool.
In Melbourne.
That's awesome, man. Hell yeah! Shout out to Melbourne.
Yep.
So, what, do you play an instrument, Corbin?
No. See, that's the thing. Actually,
I see the bass. I see the bass back there. That's why I've
this is the green screen.
Oh, it is. Wow, look at you.
So, if I guess this.
Gotcha. Wow, you're so tech forward, bro. This is not a green screen.
Yeah, actual instruments. Now, well, that's the funny thing, right? Because I've been a music head since I was a teenager, and and I'm 30 now, and true story, I would try so hard to be something in music. I would try to learn an instrument, failed. Tried to produce music, failed. Tried to be a ghost lyricist, failed. Tried to be a rapper, failed. I tried to do actually instrumental things in music, and I failed. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I have a key ear, I think, for music. I can write reviews. I can interview people. Why not just practice that? So that's where I'm at.
I think that's cool, man. I mean, having not done this for a while, doing interviews and this kind of stuff and everything. And it's really cool because now, like we talked about earlier, the access is really, abundant, right? And all that. It's so refreshing though, to be honest, because the people I end up talking to, like yourself, they have really, really great questions. And I think that you can get so much more information and you can dive so much deeper, so much quicker. Like you said, you went on Reddit and stuff. And that's where, I'll be honest with you, Reddit is where I even found out a lot of stuff about that. Like you were saying, fans were like, oh, I really like this album. I had no idea, you know what I mean? Until I researched myself. So it's just cool. Because you ask good questions and it's cool versus I remember 20 years ago and it was I don't know you wonder if they well, first of all, they probably would have got a CD or something. And and you wonder if they even listened to it. You know what I mean? They'd be asking, you're did you listen to it? So it's really funny. I don't know, but it's funny.
Yeah, no, it's
cool, man.
Yeah, it's so cool to see that kind of stuff unfold, all the positive criticisms, all the homage.
But if you like music, obviously, and you're drawn to it, you really want to be a part of it somehow, some way, and you have a passion for it. And it's if this is it shouldn't, you shouldn't have to bang your head against the wall to if it's making you do that, don't do it. You know what I mean? But if you like music, man, the world needs better writers. The world needs people that are interested and not just doing their job, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, that actually like the music and fan. Usually the best writers are always fans first, that's the whole point, and
Totally.
I can remember, I think now it's really strange how Rolling Stone is now almost getting more re-legitimized as a news source. I see them quoted on major news sources, and I'm like, Rolling Stone, really? Okay. But but it's kind of interesting because the people that write for Rolling Stone though are all really good. It's like the New Yorker or the New York Times, or you may not agree with them, but they're good writers and they do really good work, and that's cool. That's what people want, and I think that's cool. I think that young people like yourself, can do that and do it well because you have the access to research, and that's really cool because sometimes, like I said, you wonder if somebody really even listened.
Yeah. See, that's the thing I can agree with. Whether I agree with them or not, I think everyone should have obviously freedom of speech to say what they want, and a good writer is a good writer. You can just tell that whether you agree or not.
Right, you know what I mean? And there's something to appreciate for good writing too, because it's deliberate, you know, they're trying to put their whatever they heard, especially as a music writer, you know, it's like it's all interpretation. So I think it's interesting, you know, it's like it's too easy to be a hater. So whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, a question that just came to my mind, like right now, is like obviously you guys are a band again, and you guys have a new album coming out whenever it comes out.
Yeah, it's probably like May or June.
May or June. Very excited. I'll be the first to listen to it.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a continuation or a evolution, if that's a word, an evolution of this sound?
That's a good question, and you know, that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that because I was just talking to our singer, actually, Matt, about this exact thing. It's weird that you said that last week. I was like, you know, it's weird right now. I mean, it's all positive, but we're at this spot where we're kind of like reestablishing, you know, you know, or establishing ourselves to a lot of, you know, people your age that, you know, would have never heard us because, you know, you weren't even around yet. And like, it's like that. And that's okay because it doesn't matter. Rock and roll, you can have fans 5 to 50, you know, to 75. I don't care. So, but it's weird because, you know, is it going to be a continuation or an evolution? And gladly, I can say that no, we want it to be an evolution and a 2025 version of you know what Simon Says would be, and that's kind of our vision for the new record. Because yeah, you're right. Like, you know, it would be probably muscle memory to go back and kind of regurgitate maybe some of the same types of sound or like, you know, whatnot. And I'm, you know, what I realized was that we're going to, like I was saying earlier, like when you put certain people in a room, just like chemistry, there's certain things that happen and there's certain things that don't happen, you know? And that's really what's like the fascination is now with this 20-year gap. All of us have had obviously a bunch of different life experiences. I am mostly a hip hop producer and you know, and I do playing for other people and stuff, but I have been in a band and like, you know what I mean? So, and it's interesting and Matt had played in other bands and stuff like this. And so it's kind of cool. Like, no, it's going to be new school, like same band, but today, you know, we want it to sound, you know, relative. We want it to be, you know, forward moving, not like I said, not a revisit of what we used to sound like. So no, so good question. So yeah, great. Thank you.
You know, one thing I thought about, and this would be obviously, I'm not going to tell you how to make your music. It's not my place. But I was just thinking about it, I'm only thinking about it because I've never seen a band actually do this. I don't think. Like, it would give me goosebumps if the first few seconds of your guys' new album started with the last note on the last song of this album. The last note, like a 20-year.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. So we're gonna have to note this as you know, Corbin, executive producer on the new record. You know, this was BC Boys. This is the first track on our new album. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know what I mean? And we should do like you know what, Corbin, you know what you are? You're the executive producer. You're like the Birdman to Young Money. You know what I mean? That's what you're like. You're the exec. You know what I mean? You don't have to put your hands on anything, but people know you were involved. You know, that's what we said. You know, it's like, it's not nothing but a C thing. You know what I mean? It's all good. Is that Corbin with a K or C? C. Okay, yeah. See, even nothing but a C thing. We got that Corbin exec on the track. You know what I mean? There we go, dude. We'll have to do some sort of you know, like the hip hop guys I do, like have to do some sort of tag on the shit. Yeah. Well, you gotta get a tag, Corbin. Yeah.
Well, speaking about hip hop, actually, Biggie did that. On the last album, Life After Death. His first track was him dying from the shot from Suicide.
Yeah. That's right. Good ears, man. You got a good memory. That's right. Good. Yeah. See, this is what good writers, they know. They know stuff. You know what I mean? You're like that guy in in Almost Famous. Philip Seymour Hoffman, the guy that he plays, the writer. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
And he's like, but he knows everything. Like he's, he's like Nardwuar. He knows like everything. You know what I mean about you. Yeah, it's awesome. Hell yeah, dude. That's cool.
That would be a cool idea.
Dude, that's a good idea, man. I'm gonna mental note that one, dude. So yeah, that's a good one. Executive producer.
If I hear that on the album, I'm gonna flip. I'm like, oh shit!
So where are my points? Where are my points? I'm coming to the States, and I'm gonna come see you, man.
If only. So I know you guys sort of Actually, no. Before I ask that, your hip hop side has made me curious. What kind of producing have you like? What artists have you produced for in the hip hop scene?
So I have done a lot of stuff around Sacramento, a lot of local stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of it hasn't actually been released. I did a guy named JB back in the day. There's a video like he had that did pretty well, and like single did pretty well. A lot of the guys I write for, are like, some of the guys that like hang with like Brother Lynch Hung. There's it's like kind of Sac hip hop and Bay Area hip hop. I did like some engineering with some of the guys from like Sage Gemini and I Am Sue and stuff like that, because there was this studio I used to work in called The Grill. I did some like assisting for a long time, and that was really fun. They're really cool. A lot of really cool guys came through there because that's a big studio. And then lately, I've actually just been like writing a lot of stuff and submitting it for like soundtrack and like score movie stuff. Yeah. Nice. So there's a lot of like, it's really cool. Yeah. Because like, I feel like the new wave of hip hop, like at least in, I don't know, maybe the stuff like the more like, I guess, experimental kind of stuff, like the more like, I don't know, I guess Blackwater, I don't know, like a lot of stuff you hear like Kanye do with the synths and like different kinds of beats and like real experimental, just like Sympha and like those kinds of guys. That's kind of the stuff like I'm into. Like, and so what I try to do is write as many songs as I can. I just like any other producer, I'm submitting songs to artists. I'm submitting songs to managers, all those people, and sometimes you get answers and sometimes you don't. So, but
I completely relate to that. Doing this, I reach out to everyone, and obviously, mostly knows or mostly ignores, I should say. But sometimes you get mad.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. People, I would guarantee, like, I mean, like I said, like a lot of stuff, this is typical especially for hip hop producers, I think, just because, you do a lot of tracks. It's not like, there's not so much preparation if you're doing like a whole band and stuff. So like you get through a lot of tracks, and, you get the guys that like a lot of them come in and, you don't hear from them again. Like they never get released, stuff like that. It's kind of strange, you know what I mean? But it's kind of typical too. So, but I don't like I don't usually sell beats. I have a whole catalog, of course. And, but I don't really do that. I producing and kind of working with the person is more I think my skill set, the writing part and kind of the working with stuff. I have this artist in Texas, her name's Parker, that I'm working with, and like that kind of thing. We trade songs, demos, songsmithing, that kind of stuff, and going and developing the songs. She's really young, so we have a lot of time, but I love doing that. I like songwriting and songsmithing and working with the person, either solo artists or duos mostly.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll appreciate this if you can see it on the screen. Wu-Tang.
Oh yeah, dude, what's up? Yeah, dude, forever.
And a vinyl player.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's cool. Wow. Does that like, how old are the ones in your hands? When did you get those?
5 years, I think.
5 years? Okay, wow. Yeah. And did you get them both at the same time?
No.
No. Okay. No. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Love my
really
music.
Good. That's awesome, man. Hell yeah. Good for you. Good for you, man. That's awesome. Hell yeah.
So I want to say, did you want to talk about, because I know you guys have a lot of you have a tour, like a touring schedule coming out really soon, aren't you? The band? Yeah,
so I'll give all the plugs. How about that? I'll shamelessly give. Okay, so if you want to see us, then we're going on tour in May, and we're playing a bunch of festivals as well as a bunch of club dates through the Midwest and in the United States. Sorry, I'm I'm itching to come down to Australia. Don't even ask if we want to. Yes, it's a matter of just getting the right tour. You know what I mean? Like, so we can at least break even. That would be the idea. So we're working on it. Tom's working on it. So anyway, yeah, we're touring through the Midwest. Going to play a couple festivals up in Wisconsin and Montana, and then we're going to come back. Our record will be finished, but we're finished recording by then. But I don't know if it'll be mixed by then. Kind of tie up those loose ends, and then we're going to go back on a tour in August. Play some more festivals. We are playing with a festival in August with I think it's in Wisconsin with Stuntable Pilots and Hoobastank, which would be really cool. That's like August 8th or 9th, something like that. I don't know. So if you go to simonsays.us.com or Simon Says US on Instagram, you can find all of that out.
Yep.
So,
and I'm pretty sure you're also
there's the plugs.
You're also touring with a new band. Well, a newly
formed.
Oh
yes, yes,
a reform.
Yeah, it's kind of a reformed band from what I understand. I don't know too much. I'm sorry, and this is nothing bad on them. I don't know too much about them, but I know the band that they used to be. That's how I. What's that?
Icarus Landing.
Yeah, that I knew that band. They were from LA, and like I said, I didn't know them or anything, but now we have, I think, similar management. So yeah, it should be fun. Oceans on Other Planets. This is their name.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So it should be fun. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be a fun week and a half, something like that. Well, I'm looking forward to my personal self. I am a firework connoisseur, and so I like fireworks. I like to let off fireworks. I dig a good firework. I'm that guy. You know, I'm like 5 years old at all times. So I'm looking forward to somewhere in the Midwest where it's legal to buy them, and then sometime after the show in the middle of nowhere when you're driving, laying them off.
Fuck yeah. Well, man. This has been a great interview. We talked about the band, we talked about hip hop, we talked about fireworks, all the best shit.
Yes.
And look, you saying that the next album coming is an evolution has got me so excited, and I can't wait to see what you do with it, especially since I've spent the past 48 hours binging this album in preparation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. Yeah, I think it'll like I said, it's going to be, you know, there's no point going backward. Art goes forward, and that's what I think. And, you know, I'll be honest with you. I think another tip of the hat to hip hop, you know, because it's kept me young. Like, it's kept, like, being in music, period, like, you know, staying on that path and finding a way to pay my bills, whether it was playing music, recording music, or writing music. One of those three I have to do to make my breakfast, right? So, like, you know, hip hop is so, you can do so many different things now in hip hop that you people wouldn't have accepted before. And so it's kept me really young. And all those experiences, it's kind of cool because I can take those experiences, not like, you know, apply, not make our songs hip hop, but just the songwriting aspect and what you can do and what you can make things sound like is just such an evolution that I'm looking forward to making it, you know, 2025 version, not a revisit of 2001, you know. So
well, like I said, again, can't wait for it. And as soon as it comes out, I'll be the first to stream it, and then hopefully talk to you guys again when that's out, and go from there.
All right, man. Well, thanks, Corbin. I really appreciate it. It was really a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. And as soon as this comes out, I guess I'll send it to Tom, and he'll send it to you. And
yeah, that'd be great. All right, man. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Go get something to eat.
I will definitely have a good one.
All right, man. Take care.